Today on Independent Wrestling Profiles, we're talking with the Balkan Beast Jurgen Musabelliu. Thinking back to when you first discovered wrestling, what do you remember about finding out about it? What was it that attracted you to it? Like, how did you first garner that initial interest in the industry?
It was shown to me by the kid of someone who worked for my dad. My dad had a restaurant, and one of his employees' kid was my age at the time. We were both like 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, something like that. And they were a big wrestling family. So the kid showed me wrestling, and I was hooked right away. I don't know if I knew why at the time I was hooked. It just enamored me, I guess. I wish I could remember the first match I ever watched or anything like that, but I don't have a memory of that. I remember one of the first vignettes, I guess, that I remember, and I don't have a vivid recollection of it, but it was in the build-up to Mania 20, and they were building up Undertaker's potential return. So I remember a vignette or a hype package or something featuring the Undertaker, and I remember seeing him and being like, well, that's cool. Never really became an Undertaker guy, I would say, but like just as a kid, that was really cool to see. And then, yeah, so it was shown to me by the son of someone that worked for my dad, and I was just hooked ever since.
So you said you weren't really ever an Undertaker guy. Who would you say you were?
Eddie Guerrero is my favorite wrestler of all time. I think he also is the best wrestler of all time. I think he's the most well-rounded. He could do every style to the highest level. He could do anything that any promotion asked of him to the highest level. So I think he's really up there. Shelton Benjamin's one of my guys.
Oh.
Mysterio as a kid was one of my guys. Less so the more I grew up, because the more I grew up, the more I leaned towards the technical wrestlers. And Ray's obviously more proficient in the lucha style, which I still love and respect the lucha style. Technical wrestling's like my bread and butter. Like that's my stuff. He's difficult to talk about now because of everything that happened. But as a kid growing up, like Benoit was one of those guys. And I think he's a guy that is still important, I think, for people to study from a sporting perspective. But obviously, again, that's a touchy subject, rightfully so, because of the tragedy and all that. Kurt Angle, for sure. Brock's first run was great. I really liked Brock's first run a lot. Charlie Haas, along with Shelton Benjamin, World's Greatest Tag Team, were really cool to watch. Didn't have a long enough run, in my opinion. Guys like Tajiri, I think, are underrated. I love it. Tajiri, Regal, Finley, guys like that. Anybody that was kind of like hard-hitting and gritty and technical is right up my alley. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can see some of that influence when you're performing, the amateur wrestling, the technical style. I mean, even the singlet, speaks to that kind of amateur wrestling background kind of thing. Actually, I might as well ask now, but did you ever have a hand in just like amateur wrestling before you got into the professional wrestling industry?
No, I not really. I wasn't really allowed. I wasn't allowed to do physical things as a kid. But before I moved to Hamilton to start training, I did a few months of amateur wrestling in Peterborough, where I was living previously, just because I knew that I wanted to wrestle a technical style and I wanted to have at least some sort of basis that was legitimate to back it up. And yeah, so I did a few months there. The guy who trained me said that I was kind of a natural at it, and he was upset that I didn't wrestle more. And I was like, yeah, me too, man. But, it is what it is. So.
See, and when I see you in the ring, you do seem like a natural athlete, the way you move, even your build. So when you say that you didn't actually really have much of a chance to do, kind of the physical stuff growing up, were you like a gym rat? Like, was wrestling kind of your first introduction to just a physical activity, a routine, a regimen, something that would just keep you in shape? Or did you have something before that?
No, I actually, I was obese growing up. I didn't really do much. I played, I call it football. People in North America call it soccer. They call it soccer, but I call it football. I played like house league growing up every summer, even though I was pretty large. And the same thing would happen every season where like the first few games I would be like pretty good for like 5 minutes, and then I would gas out and then I'd be useless. And then by the end of the season, I'd be pretty good because I built up that gas tank. Then I didn't do anything year round to like actually stay in shape. I didn't really start taking my health and fitness seriously until I think it was 2022. I had, 2020, I started losing a bunch of weight. The highest I ever got was 280 pounds.
Hmm.
That was October of 2020. And then by December, I was like 215. Like I don't know. I went crazy, I think, with the weight loss, lost a lot of weight. And then I kind of like yo-yoed for a bit. And then in 2022, I started to really take it seriously and start, meal prepping and counting my calories properly and counting my macros properly and weight training properly. Yeah, it's been a journey ever since, always a work in progress. So
Well, first of all, congratulations. That is a remarkable feat, and you are in great shape now. And the way you move in the ring, I can't even imagine you gassing out. So kudos on that. So let me ask you, was it kind of like a chicken or the egg kind of thing? Like, did you start to get in shape with this idea to get into wrestling, or did you get into wrestling once you got in shape because you were like, now I'm in a physical condition to do this?
I didn't, I just got in shape because I wanted to get in shape.
Hmm.
Choosing to pursue wrestling wasn't really dependent on me getting in shape. I don't know, 2022 was just kind of a really transformative year for me. A lot of things just kind of happened and fell in place or out of place. And I just kind of realized that I was holding myself back from a lot of things because I wasn't making the effort to pursue them. And then I realized everybody else that has achieved the things that I dreamed of achieving or anything all just had like a normal life before they got there. They just put in the work to try and reach them. And I was like, why can't that be me? So I just decided, when I get the opportunity, I'm going to move, I'm going to train, and hopefully I can be a half decent wrestler. So
So take me through that event. What was it that happened in your life where you decided, okay, now's the time to pursue the training, to move, to dedicate? You definitely shared the mentality, but what happened that you did it at that time rather than prior to or afterwards?
kind of personal stuff. I don't know if I really want to get into that at the moment, but just it was like a domino effect of things. But yeah, it's just life. Life happens. Life unravels. Everybody has their own pace at which they realize that they can pursue the things that they want by just actively pursuing them. It's not easy, but it is simple. Just do the thing you want to do. That's what I'm doing.
All right, total respect to the privacy. But can you talk to me a little bit about the actual mechanics of doing it? How you found the school, how you decided on where you would train, and even just like the actual signing up, registering, walking in first day. Like, how did that all feel? How did that all come together?
Yeah, so when I made the decision, I started Googling schools in Ontario. Originally, my very first plan was to go to Storm Wrestling Academy before it had shut down
Okay.
because I'm a big Lance Storm guy. I didn't mention him earlier, but big Lance Storm guy, really, really good professional wrestler. So, but he closed the school down, so I'm like, okay, I got to find something local. And I was looking around, and HPW had good reviews, and a couple places had good reviews, but I wasn't really set on anything. And GCW would run Peterborough, as they still do. And at one of the shows, I went to the merch table at intermission. And I was asking like the wrestlers, "Hey, where'd you guys train? I want to train to be a pro wrestler." And Gunnar Lang, shout out to Gunnar Lang. He said HPW, and then a couple of the guys that were there as well said HPW. So I was like, okay, cool. That's a good vote of confidence for HPW. I went to university in Hamilton, so I'm not a stranger to Hamilton. I'm not well versed in Hamilton because I only really stayed in my student housing and went to campus because I'm introverted. But yeah, so once I decided HBW seems like the right fit, I started looking for jobs in Hamilton. And then I kept emailing HPW's email. Rip Impact runs HPW. Rip Impact took a long time to get back to my email. I emailed them a whole bunch, but I was pretty persistent. It kind of worked out funny in a way because in my first email to him, I'm like, hey, I'm interested in joining. I just have to find a job. But like once I find a job, I'll make my way out there and then I can train like as soon as possible. Didn't respond. And then eventually I found a job and I'm like, cool. I start this job in like August and I had like a verbal agreement with a guy for an apartment here and he ghosted me. So I had to like
Oh,
find Airbnbs to stay at for a month until I found like a place. So that was stressful. And then I have a I have an ear that I am hard of hearing in. I had like a hole in my eardrum in my right ear. And shortly after I moved to Hamilton, I had to get surgery on it because I was on a waiting list. And they like take the canal of your ear or like the skin from the canal of your ear and like transplant it to make a new eardrum. Anyways, the recovery from that surgery is like don't do anything at all for like 2 months or a month and a half or whatever. Like in the paperwork, it says like don't lift anything more than 10 pounds or whatever. And it's like, well, that's okay, whatever. So I actually stopped emailing him for a bit because I didn't want to like email him and then him the next day be like, okay, come down to the school and me be like, well, actually, I can't. It turned out really funny because the day that I got medically cleared from my ear doctor to resume physical activity
mhm.
is the day that he finally responded to one of the emails saying, hey, training is this Wednesday. It was on a Monday. And he's like, hey, training starts Wednesday. I was like, this is perfect. The timing was really funny on that. So
Yeah, it's like it was meant to be.
yeah,
That must have been pretty overwhelming, like moving to a new city, starting a new job, starting wrestling. Like I can't imagine the amount of discipline and the time management that it would take to get all of that in order. When you walked into the wrestling on that Wednesday, I presume, what was it about the training that maybe caught you off guard? Did it meet kind of your expectations of what you had imagined? Was it overwhelming? Like how did you actually feel getting in there and starting it up?
I was really excited. None of it was overwhelming. It's kind of funny to look back at it now because it's something I really enjoy and I think one of my strengths. But when we started learning chain wrestling,
Okay.
I was like so confused. I was like, wait, how do I do this? I don't know if I can do this. And then that kind of got in my head because I'm like, if I can't be a technical wrestler, like, what am I doing here? But I got the hang of it eventually. But yeah, that first training session, yeah, I don't think anything like caught me off guard or overwhelmed me. Like I came in knowing it's a really physical thing. It's physically demanding. Like it's you have to be a high level athlete, and I was prepared to become one and stay one to do it. It was kind of more or less everything that I expected. I guess the one thing I didn't see coming was like hitting the ropes kind of sucks the first time you do it. It doesn't look like it, and eventually you get callous to it, and it doesn't feel like anything. But like, yeah, when you first hit the ropes, man, it sucks. So I guess I wasn't expecting that.
So you talked about having difficulty with the chain wrestling, but clearly you've overcome that because when I see you, a technical wrestler is the first thing that comes to mind. It seems like you had that kind of idea, that trajectory for yourself right from the start. Once you kind of got the hang of chain wrestling, that the rest of it all kind of came together for what you wanted.
Not so much. I don't know if necessarily came together is the right way I would put it, I guess, because I don't think I'm a finished package by any means. There's always room for growth, and I think I have a lot of growth that I can achieve still. But I think I've just developed different skills at different times just by working on them in isolation and in combination with other skills over time, whether that be in training or going into a weekend of shows thinking like I'm going to focus on this to try and develop this skill this weekend or try and hone this in or fix this up or clean it up or whatever. But I think the moment things started clicking for me more or less is when I started allowing myself to have more fun with it in training and stuff. Because when I was early on, I just like I wanted to be like the perfect wrestler, and I still want to, even though perfect doesn't exist. But I feel
Mhm.
like if you aim high and you fall short, you're still landing high, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I was like super dead set on like I need to be perfect, I need to be perfect, I need to be perfect. That I wasn't really having fun with training as much as I wasn't loose, like I wasn't free in training. I was very rigid. I was very like, you know. And then eventually I don't know, something one day I was just like, you know what? Screw it. Like I'm here to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes to improve. I'm just gonna have fun and be loose and be free. And I think that's when like my development really started to pick up. So yeah.
So one thing that I love to talk about is the first match experience, the emotional response to kind of finally putting all that training together and putting it into practice, the reaction to getting the notification that, hey, you're going to be on this card, this is going to be your opponent, and maybe even some of your thoughts and reactions to like when the match was done, how it went for you.
Hmm. Yeah, so my first match was on a fair show. It was the Cactus Fest 2024.
Mhm.
It was against my tag partner, Jelani Richardson, actually, who unfortunately had to go back to Trinidad. So we're not teaming at the moment, but hopefully he'll make his way back to Canada soon and we can resume that tag team because I think our tag team has a lot of potential. But yeah, it was me and him. We were our first match. It was something, man. It was very low pressure because it was a fair show,
Mhm.
but also it was both of our first matches, and we wanted to come out the gate being like, "Hey, man, we're here. We can do this." So like we were both putting a lot of pressure on ourselves, I think. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We ended up having 3 matches that day, which we were not prepared for, but we got through them. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Very rewarding feeling at the end of it because when we got done, it was like, man, like I just proved that I could do a match, and it went fairly okay for a first match. It wasn't anything spectacular, not that anybody was expecting it to be, but it was okay. I was happy with it for sure. It relieved a lot of pressure as well because I proved to myself that I could do it.
Mhm.
Because we didn't like play it safe and make it really simple because it was our first match. Like we tried to kind of go not necessarily all out, but
Mhm.
pretty hard with it. Yeah, no, it was very rewarding, very cathartic, I guess. Good weekend. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you didn't gas out because 3 matches is a lot for your first experience.
I was tired.
When you were done, was it a feeling of like, okay, I need more of this? Like I've proven myself I can do this, but like let's keep going, let's get the momentum. Like, how did you feel after that about moving forward? Was it just I need to take every match I can, or was it, all right, let's see what we did, let's find out what we can work on, and let's put it together before we kind of put it to practice again?
Oh yeah, every match I can get. Yeah. I'm still that way. I really love wrestling, and I just any chance that I get to step in a ring is an opportunity I'm grateful for because it's not something to take for granted. You know what I mean? Like yeah, it's a privilege to be able to wrestle and to live our dreams for wrestlers every weekend. Maybe it's not on the stage that everybody grows up dreaming about, you know what I mean? But like you still do get to live your dream and be a professional wrestler. And yeah, it's I want to be one of those guys that has like 100 matches a year. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I didn't get 100 last year. I think I got like 89 or something. So I was close, but yeah, I want to wrestle as much as possible. I want to wrestle as many people as possible, keep learning, keep growing, keep honing my craft. So yeah.
I mean, from starting training in roughly to 2024 to having 89 matches in 2025, like that is an impressive number. That is a lot.
My body felt it.
I guess it stands to reason now that would be a good time to ask you for some of the highlights that you've had, not to say that it's over by any means, it is a very young career. But if you were to reflect back on the matches you've had, the career you've had, even just the experiences you've had, what are some of the most immediate things that come to mind that you'll hold with you about this wrestling career as you move forward?
There's a lot, man. There's some matches that I'm really fond of. I had a singles match with Del Bruno. I think it was in May of 2025. And it was the first match where like I think it was my most fulfilling match to that point
Okay.
because we went pretty long and we went like really hard. And he's really, really, really good. I felt like I did really well and like I hung in there with him. And that was a really rewarding feeling. And it was the feeling that I really wanted to get from wrestling. Like the first time I got that feeling of like this is what it's like. You know what I mean? Like it felt like I was on like a pay-per-view, you know what I mean? Or something. Like it was like this big match feeling. I was really proud of that one. I had a match with Fuerza that I was really proud of.
Hmm.
I've had a couple of matches with Kyle Boone now that I'm very proud of. I had a tag match with Jelani against Bia and Battersby at
Okay.
HPW. That was a lot of fun. I was really proud of that one. And I think that one was in February. So like we were still super early on. Not to say that I'm not still early on, still am, but like we were super early on and we were really proud of that one. I had a match with Usher recently that is one of my favorite matches. We both like the same style and we both wrestle a similar style. So that was a very rewarding match. I don't know. I feel like there's too many specific matches to mention. I've had a lot of really fun and rewarding matches, but a lot of the memories too are just like on the road and backstage and stuff. Like there's so many backstage stories that I can just look back at and laugh upon and stuff like that. And making friends that have a similar interest is a big one too, because like growing up as a wrestling fan, like you don't really make friends, you know what I mean? Wrestling's not cool through the 90s, and you get made fun of for like in wrestling, but now everybody loves wrestling, you know what I mean? So it's just, yeah, man, it's just overall, it's a really cool thing to be a part of. I mean, there's, ups and downs for sure. Like it's not all sunshine and rainbows or anything, but
Mhm.
like yeah, it's very, I'm very grateful to live the life that I live, I guess.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you were mentioning that you went to talk to some of the wrestlers at a GCW show before you got into training, talking to them at the merch table. Have you gone kind of full circle and had matches with any of those particular performers that were on that show that you had spoken to about getting into it? And was there like a bit of a surreal kind of full circle moment feeling for that?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it was kind of cool. I've had a match with Gunnar Lang. That was really fun. In the same building, actually. It was in Peterborough, the venue. Yeah, so that was kind of full circle. Yeah, he's the one who said HPW is the way, and then I wrestled him a couple of years later in the same venue. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty much the definition of full circle right there.
yeah.
So one other thing I did want to ask you about is, in fact, that tag team. I do realize that you guys are currently separated because of the situation, but can you tell me a little bit about how it formed, maybe what role it played in your early career, and kind of just maybe some of the value that it brought to your training?
We started training together. We were in the same first beginners class. Jelani was a little bit, he had other classes that he was attending at the same time. So he wasn't there every week at the beginning. But then once those other classes finished up, he was there every week after. We just formed a bond. There was a few of us that were going to start a faction. Didn't ultimately pan out, but me and him did pan out doing our tag team, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, we just had very similar ways of thinking of what pro wrestling is and what pro wrestling could be. I feel like sometimes in life you just meet people and you develop a connection with them that's just kind of like instantaneous, and it's like you've known them your whole life, like right out the gate, even though you haven't. And it was just kind of one of those things. And he's one of my closest friends now, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to team with him, and I'm hoping we get to team again soon, and it'll be a lot of fun again. He's one of the most charismatic people I've ever met, which is good for me because then I could just not worry about that and just wrestle, and he could have that over the top personality because that's definitely not me, but
Not you yet. I mean, I have seen you compete in very technical matches. I actually haven't gotten a chance to see you guys as a tag team, but I've also seen you do some silly stuff. I mean, I saw you in a Duck Duck Goose competition.
you're dead.
Obviously, if you want to expand to kind of like the Eddie Guerrero role, you want to get in some of the comedy because he absolutely had the technical ability, but he could splice in the luchador and then as well the humor and the comedy. So, I mean, especially if that's something that you want to keep working towards, I don't think you should sell yourself short on it.
Yeah, work in progress. I'll leave it at that. Progress.
So moving forward, what is it that you would like to achieve in your wrestling career moving forward? Not necessarily long term, we're not thinking end game, but just kind of in the near future, what are some of the things you want to cross off the bucket list?
Wrestling in other provinces, that'd be one. Wrestling in different countries for sure. That would be one as well. Just branching out to more promotions in general and expanding my name and my presence amongst the scene. Yeah, just keep improving overall. Wrestling more and more people that will challenge me to level up. Probably not short term, but like eventually I do want to make a living off of wrestling. So that's a long term goal.
Mhm.
Yeah, just constantly improve and expand my presence in the scene. Yeah.
So I'm going to say this just so that it is on record, and I've commented this to you one-on-one previously. The growth that I've seen from the time that I first saw you compete early in PWO as just like a run-in from the audience kind of thing to
Oh
today
yeah, that much. Yeah.
has been beyond impressive. And I do urge anyone who gets the chance to hop on and see you wrestle because if you continue at that pace, I think the sky's the limit for you. And I want that on record.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, that said, I do also want to ask, because I don't want to let you off easy, short-term goals. You mentioned you want to get in the ring with people that will help you get better. I want to hear some names. Who are some of the wrestlers that you still want to face, whether it's in the Ontario indie circuit or beyond, that you haven't had a chance to yet?
Tarek for sure. Tarek's one of them.
Oh, that would be hard hitting.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. I've only ever had one match with Jax Williams on a fair show. I'd like to have a match with him again on not a real show, quote unquote, but like an independent promotion. Junior Benito would be really fun. It's at a point now where there's so many good names in Ontario and the surrounding scene that it's kind of like hard to remember them all because there's so many good ones. Rudy Lockhart, that would be a really fun one. Haven't wrestled Travis Moore yet. I'd like that one. That'd be fun. That'd be hard hitting. We beat the crap out of each other and it'd be a lot of fun. There's definitely more people. You put me on the spot, and I don't like being put on the spot because then I forget all
I
the
mean,
names. And then as soon as we get off the call, I'll be like, oh, well, here's all these names that I remember now.
I mean, I,
Um,
I literally did say I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm not
yeah,
going to let you off that easy. So,
yeah. There's tons, man. It's just it's always hard to put name. I haven't wrestled Wheeler yet. Mark Wheeler would be fun. Another match with Fuerza, another match with Del Bruno. Because it's been a while since I've wrestled them singles, and I think I've improved a decent amount since those last two matches. So wrestling them again now. Von Vertigo, he's a big one. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, there's so many. Hattie, I would have a lot of fun with Hattie, and that's not to mention. Yeah, there's just so many. It's hard, man. It's so many. Everybody, bring them all.
I mean, hey, 89 matches, that's a lot of names, right? So there's
Yeah,
a lot of opportunity. I do want to ask, you had reference to being a bit of an introvert, deflecting a little bit of the non-competitive stuff to your tag team partner. Have you found that wrestling has maybe helped you a little bit with that introvert nature, or is it something that you still kind of lean on when you kind of maybe feel a little bit out of place, I would say?
not really. In like my day to day life, I'm still very introverted. I just kind of turn it off, I guess, for the weekends because I have to. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
well, I've heard from a lot of
keep to
people.
myself. Yeah.
I've heard from a lot of people that wrestling is almost like an escapism for them. So, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Now, one thing I do want to ask you as well, and I just kind of want to pick your brain about. You had kind of mentioned fair shows a couple of times as not necessarily bad, but being kind of like a different nature than an independent show. Could you
Yeah.
maybe shed some light for me? Because I am unaware of exactly what you're referring to, but like how they're different.
It's just you don't have like a wrestling crowd that is a recurring audience. It's just kind of people being at whatever fair you're at, and they're like, oh, there's wrestling on. So you don't have that pressure of having to perform to bring back a crowd or to win over a crowd that's going to be there next time or anything like that. It's kind of just go out there, have fun, entertain the people that are there. So it's a lot less pressure, low pressure environment. And I think a lot of wrestlers view those shows as like some of the most fun because there's no pressure to perform at a certain level or, I don't have to pull out crazy stuff to entertain this crowd because they're not conditioned to pro wrestling, so I can just have fun and yeah, feed off the crowd. I mean, you feed off the crowd in every show, but yeah, just a lot less pressure just because the crowd isn't expecting as much from you and just because they're not a recurring crowd. So yeah.
Do you have to adjust your mentality for those type of matches also because you say feeding off of the energy, but if you're performing in front of a non-wrestling crowd, it might take a little bit more to win them over because they're also not familiar with what they're seeing and who to cheer for, who to jeer. Like, does it just kind of like change your match format to kind of perform to a crowd that maybe is newer to you and maybe not going to be as interested because they're just there for the fair?
It probably should. I'm still new enough that I just want to work my style every chance I get, which probably not necessary on those shows. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the more and more years I get in and the more and more mileage on my body, maybe I'll start to dial it back a little bit. But until then, I like working my style everywhere. So
Fair enough. I mean, like you said, it's a constant evolution, it's a constant learning thing. And I wasn't even trying to say disparagingly one way or the other, just different, right? Like not good, not bad, just different, right? So I have to do the wrestling interview 101. I've asked you for some Ontario indie opponents and things like that, but I gotta know who is the dream opponent. I do like to limit it to people that are actively performing because if you open it to historical, well, you'll probably just say Eddie Guerrero. But without knowing that ahead of time, it would open up so many other options. But anybody who's lacing up their boots today, who would you get in the ring with tomorrow if I could sign a magic contract and just put you in any match?
I don't know if there's like one, but there's like a few that are tied, I guess.
Okay.
One of them's Zack Sabre Jr.
Okay.
One of them's Chad Gable.
Okay.
One of them's Ilya Dragunov.
Oh, oh, okay. Oh, that would be
Um,
fantastic.
Shelton Benjamin's probably up there because he's one of my childhood guys and he's still kicking around and he's still doing really good work. He'd probably toss me around like I weighed nothing because he's a monster. I would do my best to toss him once or twice too. So, you know, I think those are probably the guys that are like up there tied.
Mhm.
There's like a lot of people, but those would probably be top of the list. Yeah.
I, I mean, I don't know if it's even like appropriate or inappropriate to say, but I feel like when I see you perform, I'd love to see you in there with like a Rusev.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm a big
I don't want to like stereotype it as because you guys are both like, kind of
from the
foreigners
Balkans.
from similar, sorry.
From the Balkans. We're both Balkan guys. Yeah.
Right. And I don't want it to be that, but I mean, that also might be why you guys have a style that I think would blend so well together.
Yeah.
Like that's what comes to my mind kind of more immediately, like that type of, I don't know, maybe it is a Balkan style that is a little bit more prominent to be that hard-hitting
Yeah, for
technical
sure.
style and things like that. And now I do want to ask you about your background a little bit because I do remember talking to you at a show about the crest on your singlet. How important is it for you to have that representation to just, connect with that part of yourself, even if it is a subtle nod with your singlet crest, which, by the way, looks awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that's the double-headed eagle from the Albanian flag. I think I'm biased, obviously, but I think we have the coolest flag in the world. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just there's not too much representation in a lot of combat sports for Albanians,
Hmm.
not in wrestling. The only wrestler that's ever made it like big in pro wrestling is Razor from AOP.
Okay.
Yeah, like other than that, there's not really many people. There's another independent wrestler in Alberta, Berat Gorani.
Hmm.
He's like the only other indie guy that I can think of. So it's just me and him holding it down. I'd like to work him. I'd like to wrestle him if going back to your previous question.
Hey, you wanted to get to another province. Alberta's another province, right? So,
Yeah, that would two birds, one stone. Yeah, I want to represent my heritage and where I come from and you know showcase us to the world. I think as well, it's kind of like a Balkan mentality, I think, overall, but especially in Albania, there's a big mentality growing up where it's like you're kind of discouraged from chasing your dreams. You're kind of encouraged to just go to school, get the, normal, well-paying like office job or be a doctor or be a whatever, and just like live through life and whatever, you know what I mean? Just like survive life comfortably, I guess. And you're never really encouraged to chase your dreams. And if I can kind of be a symbol of chasing your dreams for our nation and our people and stuff like that, I'd like to be that as well. Just because, like I said earlier, like you can achieve everything you want. You just have to pursue it. You know what I mean? And then if you put in enough hard work consistently, hopefully things work out. And if not, you can be proud of the fact that you tried at least, So yeah, that's part of the reason why I want to represent as well.
Hmm. And now, would you want to do that on a little bit more of like a surface level? Because I didn't even know Razor was from Albania, and I know that there is like this stigma in wrestling to like automatically make someone that's foreign the like foreign bad guy character, and you kind of almost get pigeonholed into one type. Makes it a little bit harder to do that representation. But did you want to be able to have an opportunity to like, know, portray an Albanian character, hopefully not in that stereotypical way, but beyond just the subtle nods?
Yeah, it's part of my identity, whether I'm good or bad. If I'm bad, it's not because of my heritage. It's just because I'm a piece of trash. You know what I mean? It's there are other reasons why I'm bad, but yeah, either way, it's part of how I represent myself. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, speaking of just representation in your current state, if somebody was to be going to a show and they had never seen you perform before and you're going to have a match there, what is it that you would kind of want them to walk away with about you as a wrestler, you as a performer, you as a character? Like, what is kind of the summation of the image that you want to put forward?
I would want them to walk away with a sense of belief in what I do. And I'd want them to walk away with a distinct memory of me amongst the card, if that makes sense. Like, I want my match to be different enough and stand out enough from the rest of the card for them to be like, oh, that one match from that card, or oh, that one guy from that card was really, whatever, was really hard hitting, was really crisp, was really whatever. You know what I mean? I don't want to blend in amongst everybody else. I want to stand out. So standing out, and then yeah, I want people to believe in what I do. I heard something at a seminar once that I am a believer in, and it's I want to be one of the wrestlers that convinces the dad of the kid in the crowd, because the dad's the one buying the ticket and bringing their kid.
Mhm.
So if I can make him believe for a second or for a minute or for the whole thing, then he'll come back with his kid, right? So that's what I'm aiming for.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So one thing I like to ask everybody before we close out is for one piece of advice. Maybe one day this could be pooled together to help out some younger wrestlers. But if you could go back and talk to a younger version of yourself who was just walking into that wrestling school for the first time, what would be not necessarily the advice that would make it all work for you, but what would just ease the journey for you?
Follow your heart, because when you follow your heart, all your decisions become easy.
Awesome. Awesome. So before we sign out, can you just let people know once again who you are and where they can follow you online?
Yeah, I'm the Balkan Beast Jurgen Musabelliu. I'm only on Instagram, I think, at Balkan Beast PW. I don't think I have Twitter. I might have Twitter or X or whatever it's called. I don't use it, so I don't know if I have it. I might have it. It's probably Balkan Beast PW as well if I have it. So
Well, I guess if you do have it,
if you
wouldn't
can't tell,
help.
I need to work on my social media presence. That's one of the main things I need to work on.
Well, and if they follow you on X, if you do have it, it's not going to help them. 'Cause
No.
you I'm going to assume it's clearly not being updated. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. This was fun.
Thank you for tuning in to Independent Wrestling Profiles.
Please help out the show if you can with a like, subscription, or review. We'll see you next time.
This program is a proud part of the Swear to Pod Network.